The Malaysian ringgit has been a very important element in life as it is the currency of our nation. According to Cambridge Dictionary, currency is the money that is used in a particular country at a particular time. Our currency, Ringgit Malaysia, has experienced depreciation and appreciation throughout the years since issuance of the currency in 1967. Currency is more than a means of exchange. It is a symbol of identity, resilience, and sovereignty. In 1967, Malaysia introduced the Malaysian dollar, issued by Bank Negara Malaysia. The notes bore national symbols such as Tugu Negara and Malaysians' wildlife, reflecting the country's rich heritage and aspirations. The name ringgit derived from the Spanish silver money, which was widely used in ancient times. Since August 1975, the name ringgit was officially accepted as the proper name for the Malaysian currency. As Malaysia continues to evolve, so does its currency, carrying forward the legacy of a nation on the rise. Currency appreciation is when the exchange rate value of a country's currency increases relative to another country's currency. Currency appreciation is when the exchange rate value of a country's currency increases relative to another country's currency. Increase in purchasing power can attract investors from different countries, as the demand for Malaysian ringgit will rise, which can be the result of an increase in the exchange rate for our currency. Interest rates directly influence currency appreciation, as when the Bank Negara Malaysia imposes high interest rates, there will foreign investors who would invest in our country expecting a high return on investment as the interest rate is high. This increase in foreign investors can cause the demand for Malaysian ringgit to increase, resulting in appreciation of our nation's currency. A stable governance can portray a favorable environment for growth in the economy that attracts investors from all around the world, as investors trust and invest in a country that has a stable political environment and clear policies. The increase in foreign investment leads to the increase in demand for our country's currency that results in Malaysian ringgit appreciation. According to the FMT News article released on the 1st of October 2024 by a senior analyst with MUFG Bank, the ringgit is now the world's best performing currency against the US dollars. This statement is supported by the data from Bloomberg that shows the appreciation of the ringgit of 14.35% against the US dollar over the last 3 months. Currency depreciation refers to the fall of a country's currency in terms of exchange rate against another country's currency. Inflation and exchange rates can make or break a nation's financial health. Inflation typically has an inverse relationship with exchange rates. High inflation often leads to a weaker currency, while low inflation generally supports a stronger currency. For example, the annual inflation rate in Malaysia stood at 1.9% in October 2024, slightly above market forecasts, and September's figure of 1.8%, which was the lowest level in 5 months. It makes prices rose further for most components. Food, 2.3% versus 1.6% in September. So, countries with high inflation often see their currency depreciate against the currencies of their trading partners. When the currency of other country offer the lowest level of interest rate than other country, it will influence the currency value to fall since investors are looking the best interest rate they can find. Lowest interest rates also will attract foreign capital, and as the currency is in lowest demand, its will decrease. Same as what happened in Malaysia on 1987, which our country currency have been depreciate the lowest, and Malaysia have been suffered that time. Just because of Thailand currency, which is baht, had been attacked from currency speculator because the value tied to the United States dollar is too high. Government debt refers to the total amount of money the government owes to external creditors and domestic borrowers. High levels of government debt can lead to currency depreciation. In the worst-case scenario, a government may print money to pay part of a large debt, but increasing the money supply inevitably causes inflation. A large debt may prove worrisome to foreign investors if they believe the country is at risk of defaulting on its obligations, and it leads to currency depreciation. Government intervention refers to actions made by central banks and government to influence the value of its currency in the foreign exchange market. It also can include measures such as currency devaluation. Governments intentionally devalue their currency to make their exports cheaper and more competitive in the global market. A devalued currency makes goods and services from that country less expensive for foreign buyers, which can boost exports. However, devaluation leads to a direct depreciation of the currency. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the country's currency, the Malaysian Ringgit, fell sharply. Several factors caused the depreciation of the Malaysian Ringgit, such as the global economy declining and the pandemic happening all over the world. When the pandemic began, countries around the world went into lockdown, causing a global economic slowdown. Businesses closed and demand for goods and services dropped. For example, Malaysia is a major oil exporter, and the price of oil dropped sharply during the pandemic. This affected Malaysia's economy because the country relies on oil exports for revenue. The findings report that the additional one-day stay-at-home requirements cause a reduction of 29% and 37% in the closing price for Brent and WTI's oil prices, respectively. Workplace closing results in a 5.7% and 14.3% reduction in the closing price for Brent and WTI correspondingly. When oil prices fell, the value of the ringgit also dropped. Next, Malaysia's tourism industry, which brings in foreign currency, was hit hard due to travel restrictions and border closures. This led to fewer foreign tourists spending money in Malaysia, which reduced the supply of foreign currency in the country. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Malaysia's tourism industry suffered greatly because of travel restrictions and border closures. For example, in 2020, the number of international visitors to Malaysia dropped by over 80% compared to previous years. This meant fewer tourists were spending money in Malaysia, which reduced the inflow of foreign currency into the country. As a result, the economy faced more challenges, and the value of the Malaysian ringgit weakened. After facing depreciation in currency during COVID-19, which has had a great impact on the economy, the currency depreciation was driven by a combination of factors such as vaccination incentive that has been introduced by the government. Malaysia has had a strong recovery where they ramped up their vaccination campaign rapidly. As a result, the currency in this country appreciated because investors expected to have higher return on investment in this country. Other than that, the recovery in oil prices after COVID-19 played a significant role in the appreciation of the currencies. After the impact of COVID that has caused a drop in oil price, the oil prices have recovered after the economy improves, where the demand on oil has increased after lockdown. Economic activities have slowly continued. This contributed to an increase in demand for oil, especially as industries, manufacturing, and services resumed operations. The revival of global trade after COVID-19 played a critical role in the appreciation, as economies opened up and demand for goods surged. Malaysia benefited greatly from this recovery, as it is one of the countries who have manufacturing sector, exporting. The increased demand for their goods led to higher production, more exports, and consequently, greater foreign exchange inflows. The Malaysian ringgit has been experiencing depreciation and appreciation since the issuance of the currency reflects the play of domestic economic policies and other economical factors that can cause a vary in the exchange rates that cause the depreciation to appreciation. Despite facing a global pandemic that brought not only our Malaysian currency, the ringgit Malaysia, to depreciation, but also many other global currencies, the ringgit Malaysia showed strength and resilience by going through currency appreciation when the world was starting to get back up after the pandemic, thanks to strong economical and stable political surroundings.